Regarding presence, I am awareness. Do you have experience with the concept of psychological zero? No, not at all. Maybe someone asked me that before. The term vaguely rings a bell, but I don't know what it is. It's like starting from nothing in each moment. Okay. As a way of approaching each moment with no preconceptions. But that would already be a preconception. Like the intention to start to approach each moment with from nothing. That's an intention. So in a way, you could say that's already a preconception. As a meditative position, okay. So in meditation, do you mean in meditation? I guess maybe that would be a little bit like vipassana or something like that. Because if it's just every, like throughout the day, kind of having that attitude, it would still carry that intention. But anyway, I mean, if you want to say something about it, like there's no, just the fact that there's seems to be an intention going on, or like it doesn't mean that the concept can't be interesting to talk about. That's all. And we're not looking for. We can't be looking for some kind of correct approach or correct stance or correct. Excuse me. Yeah, taking of a position or attitude or whatever. Starting with the goal of vipassana or other meditations as the intention. Do you have a question about this concept of psychological zero? I mean, if anything, you could like we're just using words, yeah, but you could say that it describes the actual reality because there is a starting from nothing in each moment in a way. If you like, it's a bit abstract to speak like that, but that's already what's going on. So any attempt to do that or practice that is kind of it's unnecessary at the very least. It becomes necessary if it has been forgotten. No, it doesn't become necessary. No. Who says that becomes necessary? But it doesn't matter if it has been forgotten or not. What is as it is. Like let's say psychological zero, every moment is fresh. There aren't really moments, but okay, if anything, there is nothing but. It's very abstract. But the freshness that this whole thing kind of tries to allude to is what there is already. So why would it be important that it be remembered? Like a child lives in that, but the child doesn't think about that. Like it you know, yeah, it's absolutely not necessary. If it has been forgotten, Forgotten would be like a memory. Uh, it's not to say that some kind of like meditation or something can be beneficial in the sense of just quietening ourselves down or listening inwardly, or there can be a sense that something else is that the formless has energy, um, but it's not necessary. It really isn't. And it's not like someone who meditates has a clearer vision than someone who doesn't. All that is just really vanity and competitive mindset and all that kind of thing. um yeah, why would it be necessary already? And that's even assuming that an intentional psychological zero is the way forward. Yeah, so that's a big assumption to say that it is the correct way or a correct way, and then that it's necessary. Hey Ted, how are you doing? Happy to see you. Doesn't it help to be continually aware of that we are always approaching each moment as new? Well, we don't really approach the moment. There's no separation between us and the moment. Yeah, that's really, it's not just talk. That's if there's really this. So the difference would be between remembering that, which can be like or it's not even a remembering, because again, as soon as the words come out, it sounds like there's some intention to do that. Or it would be good to have the intention, or to make myself remember that. But if an intuition comes up that, oh, but there's no need to judge something on a previous experience, because the situation I'm in is completely unique, right? Then that can be enlightening. It can make things a lot lighter, for sure. But so then what comes up is kind of a gratitude or a relief or a kind of joyfulness. But to continually be aware of that is a practice. So then it's like what is implied always in a practice is that without me being continually aware or continuously doing this practice, nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to change. Nothing is always going to be the same unless I apply myself. And that is the whole shebang. That's the whole conceit of conditioning, of the conditioning that humans go through. It's like, if you don't apply yourself, you will never get anywhere. And it's a worry. It's a psychological worry, because we get taught that from a very young age, that, hey, if you just can't just sit around, you know. So a kind of a worry, maybe like a psychological worry and fear comes up, of being abandoned, of being lost, of, yeah. But any pursuit like that, any sort of practice or disciplinary approach, is based on that ultimately. But if I'm like stressed in a situation, or or in physical pain or something, then there's nothing wrong then with sort of like, oh, wait a minute, like, what about, like, what's really going on? Then we can sense that there's actually sensations going on. They might be very intense, but there's really what's going on. There's a lot of talk about being present, the moment, be in the now, and all this stuff. But how many people really uh really sense what's going on right now. And I mean, as it, like it physically, you know, my sense of this moment, put it that way, it's this a bit distorted because there isn't a sequence of moments, but let's just go with it for now, just to illuminate the point. So what's really going on right now, if I close my eyes and sense what's going on, there are sensations. Yeah, there's, the thing is that if I how do you say, identify, if I identify a problem, so the whole reason for a practice would be that there is a problem. Yeah, and the practice would be to make things better. So I don't know, I have discontent, or I'm feeling restless, or there's feeling of something missing, or I think I'm not free, or whatever. Yeah. So then those are all judgments I've made, first of all. So a problem has been identified, but think about it for a minute. A problem always has to be either remembered or anticipated. Yeah. So it's either in the past or it's in the future. It's never right now. And this is why I say, how many people really get a sense of now, quote unquote? Because if there's only this sense of now, and I find it a bit arrogant, or like it's always the spiritual lingo to like the presence and the, but anyway, whatever is going on right now, whatever sensations are going on right now, that can never be a problem. And if you think that's a problem, then you're not really sensing it. So a problem is only related to, that's why there's this bondage to time, this kind of addiction in a way that we have to time. It's always, if you think about any problem that you think about, isn't it something that happened in the past, or something that might happen or might not happen in the future? So then if that's clear, what need is there for practice? What's the practice? Who needs to teach you to just like just like chill out for a minute and just notice what's actually going on? Like, yeah, that to notice that it's just the mind going in the past or in the future. It doesn't need a practice. Having said that, nothing wrong with, like, if someone likes meditating, yeah, but just for its own sake. Or I don't know, getting up in the morning and 5 minutes or 20 minutes of just sitting. If someone likes doing that because they like the quiet and all that, wonderful. And it'll help also to sort of calm or like calibrate things, of course. But that which you love doing is always going to help you anyway. It's always going to love you back, really. To understand that which you point to paradoxically requires practice, meditation, discipline. No, of course not. That's what I was just saying. No, exactly. That's what it doesn't require. Think about it. It's the legacy of the conditioning that we're born with. So what this implies is that God is like a parent who is saying to us, apply yourselves. Yeah? Apply yourselves. Make something of your life. Don't just waste your life. Yeah? But those criteria, those standards, are the collective ego standards, so to speak, which is the human-centered view of the world. So it's just a human dominant view of things. Yeah, it has nothing to do with nature, with the way things actually are. It's human conceit. So this discussion is going on within that, what's the right technique? This is the right technique. Oh, that speaker, or motivational speaker or whatever. Oh, look at this technique. Look at that diet. Look at this whatever. Yeah, it's always based on, as if God, quote unquote, which would be the absolute, would require anything. And we even humanity's even that far, which isn't an evolution thing, because it's been around always. In the great religions, in the major religions, like even the major religions, which carry a lot of untruths, see that what God is love. So why would love require anything? How could it be loving to say, oh, you must do this, 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 then you will get this, this, this? The fruits that we eat, the crops that we eat, did they have to do something to get sunshine and rain? And it's obvious. Yeah, practice is usually a response to some sense of lack, for sure, definitely. I think really the value of conversations about this topic is really to demystify things. It's not to give insights on how to feel better or to be more free, but to really see the things that we assume to be true or to have value, and to demystify. Maybe the best thing about non-duality is there's a glimpse in the way it gets talked about as a subject. Now I'm talking as a school of thought, or like philosophy, or whatever people like, the context within how we talk about it. The value of that is to demystify so-called spirituality, which was maybe before non-duality becomes slightly more popular now. It's very niche, but it's quite popular in relative terms, but not as popular as spirituality, the term. So it can be very useful to demystify spirituality. But then the topic itself needs a lot of demystification, for sure. My first point of entry into such topics was via Eckhart Tolle, where the I am consciousness is really emphasized. Yeah, he uses that term to point to something, but that doesn't mean that term is a thing. Yeah, or is a truth. It's just his way of speaking. Like some forms of talking about non-duality will say that there is no I and there is no this. Okay, what there is, though, is energy. There's a sense. Yeah, I mean, the reason it gets said that there is no I is because there is such a strong identification with ego as I. It's like a false I, basically. But it seems to take over everything. But you could say the true sense of self, or the true sense of the uniqueness that you are, a unique form of energy, unique constellation of energy that is each life form. And it has a relative reality, because it's the taking shape of energy. Yeah, but it doesn't mean that it's not that energy becomes something, it just takes a shape. And then we have language, which also is like, what I'm talking about is actually I'm kind of pointing to what I'm saying, but can never really put into words, because then already, yeah. So it's just different ways of talking about it. And the only thing that really, the only point is what resonates, what's enjoyable to hear, to listen to or engage with, or, yeah. It's the same thing as like being slightly cognizant of the company we keep. It's the same thing, like what feels wholesome and nice and enjoyable, and what just takes our energy. Have you and I? That's such a weird question. It I don't know how to answer that. That's like, it's a question that arises out of taking this discussion about the I far too seriously. Like, as if now now we're listening to non-duality. Now we're talking about non-duality. Now we're close, Like those people who listen to non-duality, they really have an insight into the mystery. Yeah? It comes out, and then the whole thing. Okay, so now you could see it as a form of conditioning. Yeah, now there is the especially what's very prominent is the kind of a the Tony Parsons maybe school of thought. Yeah, which just talks about no I and is very one track on that, and which is just a way of expressing. But you see, like, the man himself will express it a certain way, and then there are so many people who express it the same way. It's like, it's up here, it's just stored memory, and then it's regurgitated. It has nothing to do with what real freedom is, with how nature is already completely free. And even say someone like Jim Newman, who speaks very similarly, I've heard even him say that this way of talking about it is actually mischievous in a way. Yeah. So it's like the constant response, oh, but there is no you. Oh, but who's saying that? There is some sense of mischievousness about it. If you want to really debate this thing, then if someone in that kind of vein, who speaks in that vein, will say, oh, but this is dualistic, that's so dualistic, and so on. What about, like, if you ever heard anything by Tony Parsons, you might know that he will say that what the absolute is the beloved. So again, if you're going to take it as an absolute, these things, yeah, this is how it is. That's what I mean by absolute. And not some like a little bit of mischief in there. I don't mean in a bad way. I'm just saying, like, it's a bit of a wink, wink mischievousness in there. Then you would have to confront that and say, oh, but if you're talking about the beloved, yeah, so who is loving it? If something is beloved, there has to be someone or something that's loving it. So, oh no, that's dualistic. Yeah, so this whole thing is very mental. So the question, have you an I, is extremely mental. I literally can't answer it. I don't have an answer for it. And yeah, it doesn't interest me also. It's because it's like, it's like putting up plastic trees in the garden when there are already trees, and then sort of sitting around the plastic trees and thinking, oh, how nice, it's so nice and green here. Yeah, it's like that. Think about it. like what we can try and sort of skirt around it, but that's as far as I would address it, or have any time for it. I is a word. It's a letter. It's a line. Yeah, if you look at how it's written, it's a line. So then take that away. Just like if there's silence, then what? Where's the question? Really? That takes care of a lot, because then suddenly I was like, "Whoa, what is all this? Blah, 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 blah," you know? Yeah. And we give that so much credence. Why? Because we think, I mean, we, not consciously, but there is an implicit information in this conditioning that humans are special. Why? Because they have language. So of course there's going to be blah 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 blah, because as long as there is lots of talking and lots of words, we can sort of see that, wow, look at us, look how intelligent we are. And yes, yeah, it's the words are the reason for us to apparently be superior, because we have language, because we have thinking. So you could say language is the expression of thought, but really language is a gift. It's a tool that we have. The intelligence that humans have is a gift, but it's one gift among so many. It's a unique gift, yeah, but it's nothing special. It's only when it gets taken as special that it creates some problems. Otherwise, it's just a playful thing. It's an expression thing. You can have literature, you can have poetry, you can have theater, you can have music, singing, words, you know? So when you don't, even talking about this subject here now, if there is a divorce from here, let's say from the gut or from the sense of the moment, as we were talking about before, of like a felt sense, if the words are divorced from that, then they're not coming from, then they're just coming from up here. And that's so tiring. That's really like exhausting. I would like to know your opinion on arranged marriages. In India, it's very common. Whew. Okay. Well, it. I don't see any. It's a forced thing. Yeah, I don't see any positive thing about it. I know it's a big topic. It's a big topic in India, and I think it's in other countries too. But it's just, yeah, it's a forced thing. It's implying that the children who are to be married off don't have anything to say at all. Has been happening for thousands of years. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. It's not to say that it can't work out if if people are lucky, like, but it's yeah. I don't know what "we are all products of our parents" might mean, but yeah, it's a forced practice. You can't really say much else about it. It doesn't have any. There's nothing natural about it, for sure. And I think traditionally, it's kind of linked to the wealth of families and the kind of, like, it's a transaction to bring certain families together, to preserve a certain standard, or economic benefits, or yeah. And then it's just the assumed right to do whatever we want with our children, seeing children as our property. It's a very stark, a very strong form of claiming. It's taking possession of children and telling them what they should do. But it's something that its root is something that is taught in all cultures, which is that children are a blank slate. Yeah, like a white canvas that has to be taught the norms of society. Yeah, the kind of the dynamics of kinship and how to behave, how to succeed, how to survive. These are all things that, like, there is no acknowledgement that a child comes with a kind of blueprint that wants to express itself. It's like a seed that comes out as a flower, and that seed is completely unique. Obviously, like every life form is completely unique. So to not allow a child, to try and force the child to go into a certain path is like stunting, like chopping a tree to become a bonsai tree, that kind of thing. Yeah, it's not allowing that to come out. Yeah. No, we're not all products of our parents. That's the whole point. That's the whole point. That's actually the mindset that would permit something like arranged marriage. It doesn't have to be as extreme as arranged marriage, but you should do this, you should do that. You are nothing without society, without your peers, without the group. You know, all this. All this is just to this. It's a distraction, essentially. Is it up to child also? Is it up to the child also to be able to avoid it, or like not fall for it? Yeah, I guess if they're forced to it, if saying no outwardly isn't enough, then of course it's up to the child. Yeah. It's only the fear of being left alone or not being able to survive without the family, or it's just emotional and psychological pressure. It's kind of an emotional psychological abuse, which is no less than physical abuse. So because it's all the same, essentially, it's all energy, it's different forms. So yeah, but the firmness is the thing that brings, yeah, would maybe in a necessary case would just cause the person to leave the situation. Because if it's clear where your nourishment comes from, which is from within, or from the cosmos, or from God, if you like, if that's the only dependence in a way that there is. This is just like to paint a picture. Anything else, any dependence on others in any form whatsoever is misguided and leads only to bondage, more bondage. Not only that, but also cementing this human-centered view and perpetuating it, carrying it forward. And yes, it's absolutely up to, of course, like if we are presented with, even children are presented with unfair situations or things that go against their sense, they have a sense that this is unacceptable. So they can like acknowledge that sense and hold on tightly to that. And yeah, after a certain age, the kind of willing obedience becomes a fate, that a negative adversity that they create for themselves. Sure. Oh, thank you so much. The concept of arranged marriage has been used in the same conversations as whether we have free will or not. Do you believe in free will? I don't have any beliefs. I'm not interested in beliefs. Free will is like we were talking about the I. It's a word. Free will is a word. What do we really mean by it? What's really meant by it? I'm not interested in the philosophical conversation about it. And if it's in relation to arranged marriage, free will is really, uh, to say that we don't have free will is like saying, oh well, arranged marriage is just what's happening. So then there's the sense here that that's not acceptable gets overlooked, and that's the throwing the baby out with the bathwater. That's the delusion, and that's the kind of the stupidity of this, the way non-duality gets talked about, of this non-dual scene. Yeah, there's a lot of real dumbness there, which is the, oh yeah, there's no free will, there's no I, so whatever happens is cool. It's, what does it do? It's just, it cultivates indifference to suffering, or to cruelty, let's put it that way. Yeah. But in the next breath, I'm going to tell you that there is no such thing as suffering. So the same, I can say there is no free will, but in the next breath, I might say, yes, there is a free will. Of course, you can say no to some idiot who comes to take your energy and or tries to force you this, that. But who cares? Like, is it you doing it? Like, will you call that unique sense of this expression of that energy, will you call that I or not? Like, is it something that's happening? Is it energy expressing? So does the energy have free will? Energy is free. There is freedom. Of course, there is freedom. That's what we're talking about here. And we have a will. Of course, we have a will. But what we don't have is this all-powerful, I'm the architect of my success, that kind of free will. No. But it's a boring conversation because these things are so obvious. You just look around, the people you meet, the amount of idiots that there are around. Yeah. If you the amount of conceit that there is around, you see all these things in these assumptions there, they will explain all these concepts. Then are you interested in the experience of free will? Not at all, because it's just words, it's just the concept. It's very mind heavy. Why would I be interested in the expression of experience of free will? Like, ask a child who's playing and is having a ball playing, who's really enjoying the day. You'd have to stop the child from playing and say, are you interested in the experience of free will? And if you think that real freedom is anything more than the joy of a child playing, the immediacy there of, there is no, is there an I, isn't there? This is just what is. It's just the intensity of the joy. That's the whole story. That intensity is the immediacy. That immediacy is no separation. If you think that this freedom, which people call enlightenment or self-realization, is something more than that, then we're just going into the realm of specialness. It's the reason why people who are interested, let's say, in so-called freedom or becoming free aren't, or seemingly aren't, actually free, is because they want something special, is because they want that little extra. It's not enough. Being like a kid who's playing, it's just not enough. There's something I want, but then I won't get seen. I won't have a light shining on me to show how special I am. What is the purpose of life is another one of those questions. The purpose of life, again, you could say there is none because it doesn't need it. But not in a callous kind of way that there is none. It just doesn't need a purpose. What purpose does that flower have to flower? It's just pure expression. So you could say expression is the purpose of life, if you like. But they're just really philosophical takes. They're just words, nothing more. There is no not such a thing as the discussion about free will or the discussion about the purpose of life, but we think there is. Very strong answers, dude. It's common sense, it really is. There is so much, like the answer to everything is firmness. Yeah, being firm about like what feels acceptable and what doesn't. That's it. But there are so many excuses to not stay with that, to not stand up for it. So many. And then there are also so many ways of showing, oh, but I am being very strong, and when that's completely not true at all. It's our whole culture is based on show. It's like the guy who goes into the gym to have big muscles and then puts them on social media to show others. Yeah. But the weakness of it, the portrayal is strength. Yeah, big muscles, strength. But the need for the attention, that's really weakness. So where's the strength? How can that be strength? And as long as there's this need for attention, it's game over. Yeah, ego. That's exactly what ego is. The need to get attention. That's it in a nutshell. The desire to get attention, to be seen. The concern with how I'm seen, that's ego. And it's the root and the only root of all disharmony, let's say. You're using beautiful examples like children, flowers. What about not so beautiful things? It's you're saying that they're beautiful examples, and you are suggesting that there are things which are not so beautiful. So it's just just if you want to talk about that kind of thing, whatever you want to talk about, be aware that you're making an assumption before the question, okay? And if you don't want that assumption to be touched, then it's a waste of my energy to talk about it. Are you happy when alone? Yeah, of course. Why not? What's wrong with being alone? I don't get it. This is my assumption, but why are you using such examples, not others? I don't get it. Not others means like what others? Give me a suggestion. We can. I don't get it. There's no. It's an example. If you're going to give an example, you're going to come up, give whatever comes up. No. We're talking about nature. Ultimately, we're talking about nature. He's late. What the fuck are you talking about? I don't get this. Yeah, some of these things I just don't get. Maybe it's time to stop. Anything else? If you want to talk about some what you might say are not beautiful examples, please do. I don't know why you want me to. I don't get it. If you can put a question with some context, it would be helpful. For example, spiders. Yeah, what's wrong with spiders? Yeah, you go. It's about aliveness, which I think a person like you, Walking Dead, won't feel it. And while spiders are beautiful, they are so alive and firm. Yeah, they can definitely fuck you up. Some of them. I appreciate if you want to stop. It would be a pity, though. Your comments are very refreshing. Please feel free to ask. I'll stop when I've had enough screen time. But yeah, if there's just like some kind of facetious comments going on, then okay, then I can always the person can always leave the conversation too. Yeah, I would agree, Rajvinder. I would agree with your comment. Like, you seem to have Darrow X seem to have a fixation on something which you like drag things into some darkness or negativity, and as if as if darkness were somehow negative. They are dangerous. I fear them. Okay, it's a learned thing. I don't know what that brings to the discussion, because again, they are dangerous is an assumption. That's a phobia. It's a psychological thing. It has nothing to do with what we're talking about, which is about nature. We were talking about expression. Yeah, the like diversity. Who are I don't know. Yeah. So is there nothing to do except live well? Nice. I like that. That's the best thing all evening. Yeah, exactly. Nothing to do except live well, which basically means enjoying your life, right? Yeah. Totally. That's exactly it. And that's such a like uh like a shift, like a dog, when a dog hears something, some strange noise, it'll go, huh? It's a real blind spot, that, because this intense attachment to trying to find what I have to do, when if that falls away, then there's just the question of, like, I'm just going to enjoy my life. Like you said, Luca, it's really fear which is conditioned, and people are so fearful they think they have to have a purpose, otherwise they're so useless. It feels so undignified. Do you agree? Exactly. Yes. 100%. Yes, exactly. And that ties into your question about arranged marriage. Exactly. It's the kind of sliding into this lack of dignity, this loss of our sense of dignity. Okay, but without that assumption, I may be beaten by a spider and die. You're gonna die anyway one day, so relax about the spider. You'll be lucky to die by a spider. Oh my god. This is really the height of the uh, slavery to ego, is the thought, and this is the whole thing about free will. Is there an I? It's all explained in this. Like, see the assumption. If I don't make an assumption, this or that's going to happen. How self-important is that? Am I really that important that this nature here needs my assumption? Again, it's just the exaggerated importance given to intelligence, thought. Nicely said. Or like this other person, Ken, was saying that children need guidance. It's the same kind of assumption, that, like, yeah, if you don't tell the child that it shouldn't touch the hob, as if touching the hob and feeling that it's hot wouldn't be enough lesson. No. So there is nothing firm, nothing to place trust upon. Who said anything? Who said that? I definitely didn't say that. The world of ego is illusionary, is complete illusion. Yeah, it's a construct. It's a mental construct fabricated by the sense that we are superior beings because of our ability, our intelligence. Yeah. What there is, nature, there is no unfirmness in it. Yep. Okay, I'm done unless there's any other questions. Thank you for your time. Thanks for hanging out. Until another time.